we are live. What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another edition of Respect the Craft. This is episode number 72, and we are joined by the comic book warrior himself, Gabriel Baez. How's it going, sir?
Honestly, man, I'm grateful to be here. Thank you for having me, and I'm excited what you got for me. And for everybody watching, you're going to have one hell of a show.
All right, there you go. No, thank you for joining me here. I had no reaction at first, and I was like, wait, what do I say? He has a helmet on. I was already stunned. I was like, wait, there's a helmet.
Yeah, it strikes fear in a lot of people. A lot of people are afraid of looking at this thing.
There you go. Hey, I see it. You got the helmet. You got the shield in the back. You're ready for a fight right there.
I'm always ready.
Hey, there you go. But before we get into all of that, because I have a lot of questions about all that, I have to ask you the question I ask everyone that comes on, and that is, you heard the name of the podcast. It's called Respect the Craft. So when you hear that term, the craft, what does that mean for you?
I consider it the artistic style of it, because if you think about it, people think pro wrestling is just, outside of the fans. They think it's just a bunch of guys in tights. And no. It's honestly a bunch of athletes who put their bodies on the line. Guys like, like one of my partners, Black G's. Like, he's honestly one of the toughest, most bad dudes you'll ever see. He puts his heart and soul into the ring. And hence, the craft of pro wrestling. It's hard work, dedication, blood, sweat, your tears, your soul even. And that's why people should respect it.
There you go. I know, definitely Black G, someone I've had on the podcast multiple times. Again, you talk about him, that's an icon right there. And we're going to be talking about that in a little bit as well, because we do want to talk about Team NEW. But let's talk a little bit about you first. Let's start. I want to get into the mindset. What is the comic book warrior? Where did that come from for that evolution of the character that we see today? Where did that come from to turn into the comic book warrior?
So for me, a lot of people know this because I'm like a huge anti-bullying supporter. I was bullied as a kid, and my huge escape was reading about reading about Spider-Man, Iron Man, Batman, all the superheroes that you could possibly think of. And for me, I wanted to be something like that. I follow their guidelines, follow their rules, follow their discipline. And so when the comic book warrior was made, I didn't want it to be seen as another guy who wants to be a superhero. I wanted it to be somewhat of a symbol where people who are afraid of being who they want to be or expressing who they are, I want them to look at the comic book warrior, look at this helmet, that shield, and think that I can do this. Because whenever people see me with this helmet, they think it's Gabe Baez. No, the comic book warrior can be anybody. Like, that's why I originally come out with the helmet. Because when you look at the helmet, you could see yourself wearing it. You could see your brother, your sister, hell, your grandfather wearing it. And to give that idea that anybody could be a hero is what I want to give.
There you go. I like that. I like that, especially the story behind it. That's awesome. So I have to ask you again, with that being said, with the comic inspiration, where did your love for wrestling come in?
Believe it or not, it was actually my grandfather that got me into pro wrestling. When I was a kid, I was coming back from school one day, and I believe at the time my wallet was stolen. And he goes, "Gabe, come sit down and watch wrestling with me." And it was an episode of Monday Night Raw. I can even remember what match it was. It was CM Punk versus Seth Rollins. That was the first wrestling match I ever saw. And it made me fall in love with pro wrestling right from the get-go, because I looked at these guys, and they're like real superheroes to me. And when I was trying to find a career for me, it was either, and you might find this ironic, comic book artist or pro wrestling. And since I sucked with drawing, I decided to go with pro wrestling.
Okay, that's hey, I feel like that's usually it's the story that's always, it's that one match that draws you in. And that right there is perfect, because if you look at again the landscape of professional wrestling right now, you look at who's currently on top, and hey, those two guys are still killing it in the wrestling world.
Yeah.
And also, it's perfect with the inspiration because CM Punk has been known to be a very big into comics, and hey, got to illustrate as well.
Yeah, and when I saw him enter the ring and say it's clobbering time, I'm like, oh, he's quoting the thing. That's good to know.
Hey, you know what it is too. That's why I wanted to ask because I think that's the easiest answer is how were you able to transcend your love for comics into wrestling? But I feel like it's the most natural thing. Like that's one of the things. Like no matter what locker room you're in, what place you're at, it's like you'll find someone there that's like, yeah, I like comics too. I like this. I like all that. It's like,
yeah, and for me, when I actually initially started making my matches into comic books, like here I have one right now, right next to me. Like I make my matches into legitimate comic books.
oh, that's sick.
And like honestly, like you can look at the inside, it's actual like from the actual match itself. And and when I give it to people that weren't at that show, they see that like this guy's actually doing stuff that's somewhat superhuman. And a lot of people don't expect a guy my size to be chucking people overhead press or holding them up for a jackhammer. And it makes people really think that anything is possible because a guy like him, a guy his size, is doing something that is damn near impossible.
Hey, I commend it as well. You know what it is as well, especially for modern day wrestling. Now it's more you still get the bias of, oh yeah, the wrestler is supposed to look like this. It's supposed to be this huge guys. Because yeah, again, a lot of people grew up on the Hogans, the Warriors, all that. But when you see someone again that can do this and has that heart for it, hey, I always say biggest thing about professional wrestling is having the heart behind it. You can do whatever you set your mind to.
Yeah. Like honestly, like for me, like I've been in situations where I was hurt and like I still kept going. I still pushed through the pain. Like I remember like where this comic book, I actually hyperextended my knee, and thankfully no tears, nothing. I just took it wrong, but like I was able to fight through. But initially, I wasn't able to get up. If you look back at the footage, I was having a hard time getting up because my leg was like wobbling, and then I eventually popped it back in, and like honestly, I was sore for a couple weeks. I had a knee sleeve on. It was honestly like one of the most gruesome experiences, but also like a very definitive moment to show like what kind of guy I am.
Got you. No, definitely. And again, that's adding to what I just said about that heart. And I could definitely see that's a big part of you in the character and also the person as well. So I have to ask that when you look at again what you're doing and what you're trying to do in that ring, especially with what today is the anniversary of Rey Mysterio, 20 years in the business. Is he someone as well that you look into like, hey, he's another person that again doing some feats that you wouldn't think a guy his size can do, and also he's also transcended that mixing the superhero vibes with professional wrestling.
To me, Rey Mysterio was one of the biggest like inspirations when I was a huge like wrestling fan because he's honestly like one of the biggest underdogs you'll ever see. Like I remember watching the tape of him winning the World Heavyweight title, and that shows how big of an underdog he was because you have guys like Kurt Angle, Randy Orton in the ring, and basically annihilating you, and you still somehow, some way got the W on it, and that's going to be like one of the like main moments that I remember like thinking to myself, anything is possible, and no matter how big or small the challenge may be, you overcome it.
There you go. So now let's go into that a little bit. We told how you got into the love for the business, how you found that passion for it. Where was it that you got your initial start? Where were you able to find where to train and get your foot in the door to be in the business?
So initially, I went to IWF in Nutley, New Jersey, where I met Justin Adams, who was my first ever rival, and Michael Kamek, who became my late best friend. And honestly, like those two guys, well, before I started smacking the hell out of Justin, they were honestly one of the greatest guys you'll ever meet. Like I'm sad that Mike sadly passed away. Like it hurts me to this day. but like honestly, they were one of the few that taught me the basics in wrestling. And then IWF shut down, and then I went to Team Adams Pro Wrestling Academy in Wharton, New Jersey, which is run by Damien Adams, who trained Deonna Purrazzo, Tasha Steeles, and Karen Q. I forgot what her current name is in WWE, and Elektra Lopez, and they're honestly and they are one of the best female wrestlers to this day. And to be able to learn from him, it kind of shows that he's more psychology based, like in wrestling. Like he wants you to understand the mentality of it, not the physicality. Like, and he wants you to understand everything, and he teaches you like different styles, like lucha, a strong style. Like honestly, it's like basically the I would say like the CIA of pro wrestling in a way, because he's like very like intelligent with all these things.
No, I've definitely heard that about Damien, and again, his resume of just the talent he's produced is there. That list of amazing, and continues to. Like I know a lot of people now that are training under Damien that are killing it. Encore, JC Storm, and again, getting to see what you're doing in that ring, it shows. Again, he knows what he's teaching. So
yeah. Like the first thing he noticed about me is my spear. Like he was like taken away by my spear.
Okay.
Like I remember we were in Newport, Vermont, and I wrestled above average Joe Scott, and I speared him, and I heard him yelling, "Nice spear!" I'm like, as I'm pinning him, I'm like, "Who the hell said that?" And then backstage, like somebody, I forgot who it was that told me, but they were like, "Oh, he says you have an awesome spear." I'm like, "Awesome."
Hey, there you go. That's one of the things you always want is for your trainer to be like, "Hey, you're doing this well." Like it's showing. It's that improvement.
My cat's scratching at the door.
No problem.
He's trying to come in. He wants to photo bomb, but I'm not.
Hey, there you go. All good. But no, so that definitely shows. So again, so from Damien's, so when did you find, okay, this is what I now want to do though? Because that I also we kind of skipped through that. When was it that you decided, you know what, this is what I truly want to do now? Because it's one thing to finally get to step in the ring, but it's the other to finally decide, you know what, this is it. This is the career path I'm taking.
So when I first started doing the Comic Book Warrior, I actually had a kid come up to me during intermission. And this was like my second time at that promotion at the time.
Okay.
And he came up to me and he gave me a hug. And he goes, "You are truly my hero."
Oh.
And his mom told me that he was being bullied. And when she told me that, I honestly got a tear in my eye, because the fact that I was able to help this kid through this like very like serious tough time, because the kid was like maybe like 10 or 11, and he had Instagram at the time, and he saw my anti-bullying advocacy. He saw the video I had of me being bullied at the time, and like he saw that I was trying to be a real life superhero, and it helped him stand up to bullying. And honestly, like I'm honestly grateful that I'm somewhat helping these people through these like rough times, and to be able to like give them hope is honestly like what I want to keep doing. Whether it's pro wrestling or like I could do public speaking or somehow, some way. Like I'm actually going to talk to Weehawken High School about doing a public speaking event when the school year starts again, because I really do want to be an inspiration. And the teachers, they love me there. Like I posted a photo when I like paid a surprise visit to them, like and they actually asked me to like talk to the students like during class. I'm like, yeah, sure, I'll do it. And then they actually like took notes from it, and they honestly said thank you for it. And I'm honestly grateful, and I really do want to do that to like kind of shine them in the right path instead of going down a very dark and spiraling world.
No, that's definitely, I feel like, especially nowadays when a lot of what you see is only more people adding to the negativity, when you see someone that's actually looking to create that positive impact and help those that, again, could be going through the same scenario that a lot of us when we were younger had to go through. So that's always great to see that. So I have to ask, with that being said, how are you with social media then? Because I can imagine seeing a lot of what's out there is kind of challenging to see.
Well, for me, in my experience, social media can be your best friend or your worst enemy
Yeah.
because you have a lot of haters. Um, and like all, and if you look at the bright side of things, like you help and like this is what I try and do. I try and look on the bright side of things. Like I avoid all the negativity. If I see any negativity, I click the little 3 dot thing and I say not interested, because if I see anything negative, if I see anything hurtful, I either report it or I just block the user, because I am the type of person who does not want to see that. I'm a guy that wants to see hope in the world, not destruction. And also on top of that, a lot of females, they could be spams too, but like they keep DMing me, asking me if like I'm single or not, and I'm just like, nope, I'm done, nope, block.
Yeah, that's you gotta love those spam accounts. But hey,
Yeah.
it's
But an actual like fan hit me up once, like asking if I was single. I said, nope, I'm seeing somebody. And then like 3 weeks later, I was asked that on the NGL. And I said, no, I'm single.
hey, if that fan is listening, no, he's still taken.
Yeah,
For everyone
I'm
else,
still taken.
yeah.
My wife is pro wrestling.
Hey, there you go. Well, let's get into that. Let's get into a little bit of the wrestling side of things now, and let's get into one of the main reasons as well that you hear is that you're going to be a part of with the project. Our next event is going to be representing Team NEW. You're going to be at Summer Clash in the Escape from New York tournament. Let's talk a little about this. Your team right here is being captained by NWA's own current NEW heavyweight champion, Black Cheese. You have the king of everything himself, Walter Diaz.
Can you erase his face? Because I don't like seeing him.
We're going to talk about that in a second as well. We have yourself, and then rounding out the team as well is going to be Nino Cruz. So let's talk about that, because instantly when I announced that you were going to be on the podcast, the former guest of the podcast as well, Walter Diaz, was not too happy about this. He's not. It seems like you two have some issues. Can you tell me a little bit about that? What is it with you and Walter Diaz?
Here's why. I'll go into it. So a year ago, me and Walter, we had a match, and he did something that made me lose all respect for him.
Okay.
He distracted the ref by bringing a chair to the ring. The ref takes the chair away. What does Walter do? He low blows me. He kicks me right in the family jewels, pedigrees me, pins me 1, 2, 3. That shows that he couldn't beat me fair and square, because he gave everything that he possibly could. DDTs, blue thunder bombs, you name it. He tried to make me tap by putting me in a triangle. You want to know what I did? I deadlifted him up and slammed him to the ground. And what does he do after he gets the victory? He walks out the ring, grabs a leather strap, whips me with it numerous times, and strangles me with it to call out Alpha. Now, I know Alpha wasn't listening because, in my opinion, Walter Diaz isn't worth Alpha's time. He wants to walk around saying New Evolution is his house, that New Evolution is his kingdom, that he's the captain of the team when Black G's is the captain. This shows that Walter Diaz is a wannabe kingpin and will do anything in his power to make the spotlight about him. Now, this is the warning to my teammates. In my opinion, Walter will do everything in his power to stab us in the back. And if he does, I am coming for him. Because me and him, we have unfinished business. He started a war that he will never finish. And I swear, if he gets in my way while we're teaming up, this team's going to implode before it even gets started.
So now I have to ask about that. So I get the beef between you two. Again, being the commentary for the night, I'll try to stay neutral and say I can get doing whatever it takes to win. Not the most commendable, not the most respectful way, but I get it. But now we look at August 6th. You guys are sharing that ring. You guys are on the same team. Are we going to be able to see Team NEW be on the same page? Because it's you guys trying to win a prestigious tournament here as Escape from New York. You have 8 other teams that, again, are star-studded. I don't think Black G is going to want to see you two bickering and not be united when you guys are facing off against Team Warriors of Wrestling.
I have nothing against all my other teammates, but I'm going to tell Black G this, and I'm going to tell my other team. Who's my other teammate?
It's Nino Cruz.
Nino Cruz. I didn't want to butcher the name. I really thought you said Tito. but to G's and Nino, I will back you guys 100%. I'll listen to anything you guys tell me. But if Walter tries to bark orders at us, expect the team to implode. Because here's why. I am not going to listen to a little brat that wants everything to be about him. I'm a guy who wants to do things the right way. And I swear, if he tries to cheat or do whatever it is to win, I'm going to stop him. Even if it costs us the win, because that is not the way things should be done.
Okay, I was going to ask that. So that again, so you would be willing to cost your team a possible way to get an elimination then, if it means staying down the middle there.
Because
you want it to be fair and square.
If we couldn't do things the right way, then we shouldn't be winning at all. That's my opinion. Because here's why I believe that we should win fair and square either way. We have some of the most talented wrestlers in the East Coast, and Walter Diaz. Like, honestly, Black G's NWA, you said it yourself, phenomenal. There's a reason he's our champion. And Nino Cruz, up-and-comer, one hell of a wrestler. I've seen the tapes. And you got me, a guy who could literally toss people with one arm. And I really don't understand why Walter Diaz is on our team. They picked the teams, but in my opinion, it's a big mistake. Because like I said before, he's going to do everything in his power to make it about him.
Again, I'm for your guys, I'm hoping you and Walter can get on the same page. I'm usually a fan at the project of Walter Diaz. I've gotten to see Walter Diaz in 2 matches now. Again, to see, this is why I called him when I was talking about the team, the king of everything. Because he was usually the king of the scramble, but now he's moving on from just doing scramble matches at Project as well. So again, I'm hoping you guys can unite.
Why I agree to this, I hate to cut you off. The only reason why I agreed to stay on the team was because NEW said if we could work together as a team, we are promised a championship. We are promised a championship opportunity of NEW or CCW. That's the only reason why I decided to stay. Now, I'll do everything in my power to keep stay composed. Walter, I know for a fact he's going to try and bark orders, make everything about him, and he's probably going to do whatever possible. He's probably going to make all of us do all the heavy lifting. And when the moment's right, he's going to tag out and steal the victory. Like, make it all about him.
Hey, I guess your biggest concern would be, well, hopefully he stays out of your way. Hopefully he lets you do what you have to do and be able to win with a clean victory.
That shows what kind of man he does if he does that. He's a coward. He's afraid of getting his hands dirty. He's afraid of doing things right. But honestly, I hate to, repeat myself. I sound like a broken record, but any man that can't stand in the ring and do everything for himself, they're a coward.
Again, I'm hoping you guys can come together here because, again, August 6th, it's you guys versus Team Warriors of Wrestling. Any thoughts on your opponents here? Because, again, they aren't a bunch either that's on the same page, because I believe in Warriors of Wrestling, Roger Mendez and the Rise are going at it. So you guys share a common bond right now. Your team can't get along.
Who's the one with the lightning bolts?
That I believe is Dante Fane, I believe is his name. If I'm not mistaken.
He looks like a bootleg Thor. Like, legit, he's wearing, all the lightning bolts and everything. Like, he's, embodied with the power of Thor. But he looks like that Old Spice knockoff for Thor 3.
Oh, man.
Like, nothing against it. Like, if you're into that,
Yeah.
like, but like, all jokes aside, I know we're in for a run of our money because here's why: they wouldn't be on the team unless they were very skilled. But they aren't going to have a cakewalk with us either. Even though me and Diaz got our beef, you got two other guys that will put their differences aside no matter what it is and get the job done. So that goes to show that they're in for a fight of their life with or without our own team issues. Now, what may happen, I do not know. If Diaz tries to bicker and make everything about him, that's going to be an issue. If Warriors of Wrestling implodes, maybe we could use that.
I guess we're gonna have to wait and see what happens on August 6th. But from August 6th, you have something coming up after August 6th that I want to touch on. Is you're going to Canada, you're going up north, and you're getting to be a part of a promotion now that's been being built off a name that is synonymous with pro wrestling, with the Hearts. Tell us a little about that. How'd you get acquainted with the Hart family and this opportunity to do, which I believe you're telling me is a 10-day tour of Canada? So how did that all come about?
So I got an email from Hart Legacy Wrestling to be offered to main event in Elmira, New York at the First Arena. And that was honestly a big deal for me because I saw the arena itself and it could seat 4,000 people. We had 3,000, I believe, in attendance at the time. And to main event with a name like Teddy Hart and ECW original like HC Loke, who's also a former Ring of Honor tag team champion. Like, to be able to be in that, like, mindset, to be able to do complete a match and also get the W, I might add you. If you guys want to see it, it's on Fight Network. Search it up, Hart Legacy Wrestling. And it was probably one of the most brutal matches I've ever done because from what I remember, we were in the ring for possibly 50 minutes to an hour. And I was beaten. My ribs were bruised. I took a 450, Canadian Destroyer, suplexes, you name it. My body was bruised. I immediately took an ice bath as soon as I got back to the room. But and then they said that we want to book you again, and we want you to do a 10-day tour in Canada. And I said, I'll do it. I'm honestly grateful for it because to be able to go across the border, and I debuted, like, go back to when I first debuted. I was on the Canadian border as Gabriel Baez, a kid from Weehawken, New Jersey. And fast forward years later, I became this real-life superhero, comic book warrior, inspiring a lot of people. And now I can take that inspiration over the border and touch like the hearts of anybody who's going through what I go through, kind of get my name out there more. And to be able to do, I know it's going to be brutal, the back-to-back shows, 10 days. I'm definitely going to need 5 ice baths when I get back. Like, I'm probably going to bring my own cooler on the plane if I could. I'll just bring my own ice. Just like, what's this for? But yeah, like, and
I feel like in Canada,
Teddy,
you might have enough cold over there in Canada as well. Like, so you might just want to walk out in Canada and be like, okay, this is cool enough.
But yeah, I'm excited to be teaming up with Teddy again because he's honestly a very agile wrestler, and like, honestly, it's phenomenal. Like, to see the stuff that he does in person, like the moonsault balance off the top rope, like, and to be able to like see that happening, honestly, it's very surreal. And I honestly think that it's amazing that I get the opportunity to be teaming with him for 10 days and also to be kind of picking his brain a bit from it.
Oh, definitely. That's going to be something, not only to be able to cross again that off, being able to wrestle in a whole nother territory again, to do that and also learn from someone that, again, basically breathed, sweat, everything in this business.
Yeah.
Blood, sweat, and tears in this business, has grown up around it. That family legacy, like I said, is embedded in wrestling. When you think of professional wrestling, there's so many names that are synonymous, and the Hearts are definitely one of those. And again, getting that opportunity, that's amazing. And I can only imagine that's adding to now another reason why you continue to do this, to continue to,
Yeah.
again, make that name and continue to do that.
Yeah, and like to make, and the title for the comic book I'm making my match with Teddy, like my team up with Teddy, is going to be called Heart of War, because honestly that match itself was a war, because it was brutal. It left me sore for days on end, and I loved it, but I also hated it because I couldn't bend over and pick up stuff.
I was gonna say, wait, why are we hating this? But then it's like, oh yeah, 60 minutes. Yeah, that makes sense.
But I honestly think that that he would consider me a like a teammate is grateful, because that shows that like someone who's been in the business for a while sees potential in me, and that's flattering in its own way. And to be able to be partnering up with him again is grateful.
Oh, definitely. And I can, again, no pun intended because of the podcast, but I definitely can see he's gained that respect for you as well in this. Again, going 60 minutes, it's not anything small that someone can just do like, hey, yeah, let's go 60 minutes in there. It's like, no, you have to have that heart to want to do something like that and be able to add its full potential as well.
Yeah.
But let's also go into that now with those. I want to talk a little bit about the matches that you turn into comics. Where did that idea come from? Because that's definitely different. Because I've seen wrestling comic books before, which again, a good friend, Mike Kingston, who does Headlock comics. But with this idea to turn your matches into a comic book, where did that come from?
So when I was home one day, I was doodling. Yes, I doodle. I still doodle, even though I stink at drawing.
Hey, I'm not any better. That's why I do my graphics electronically, because yeah, I can't draw for none. But hey.
And the idea came to my mind is, how can I show kids my other matches without forcing them to go watch YouTube, or like, because one, I don't want parents to like think that I'm telling their kids to be on the internet every day. And I also wanted to do something that could reach people like me, the comic book nerds, who collect action figures and read comic books every day. And yes, I do collect action figures, people. Don't be coming at me with that. I could see the fans now like turning their heads, like, he collects action figures.
Hey, at least from my fan base side of things, again, it's not uncommon. I've had people on that talked about it. Hey, I've talked about it on the podcast. One of my walls is just full of Funkos. So
that is awesome.
Like, I definitely support the collection, the action figures, whatever it is, that all that. So definitely, hey, do what you love, man.
Yeah, and like when I was drawing, I actually somehow managed to like draw myself and the two other guys I faced, and it kind of looked like a Spider-Man issue of Maximum Carnage. It was like the conclusion of Maximum Carnage, where Spider-Man's fighting Carnage and Venom's leaping in. And I hit up an artist, his name's Sean Vrabel, amazing artist. And he decided to, I asked him, like, hey, do you mind drawing this cover for me like this? And he does, and it was phenomenal. Like, it was beautiful. It was beautifully done. And then I also decided with the comic books, it could also help me with, like, help other wrestlers reach out, because I actually started doing personalized ads in the comic book. Like, I recently started doing this. And it's also going to be in the Heart of War. I haven't done it with any of my other comic books yet. When I order a new batch, it will have the personal ads in it. But I actually like started doing personal ads, like and each ad like shows the product, like t-shirts, plushies, or whatever. And I put a little QR code that sends them either to the website, like Pro Wrestling Tees, or their link tree to where anybody could purchase the item. And honestly, like, I want to help indie wrestlers as a business grow. because that's the kind of thing that needs to be done in this business. Nowadays, it's kind of like every man for himself, and I don't like that. In this business, we're supposed to be like brothers and help out my brothers as much as possible. Like I recently did an ad for Tanawak, who is a wrestler better known at Spartan Championship Wrestling. And he's a good friend of mine. I love him like family, and like to kind of do the ad for him. And I actually like send people the final thing. If they like it, they like it. If they don't, I do little edits here and there. And he loved it, and he goes, "Thank you so much for doing this." And I go, "Anytime for you, man. Just like let me know if you want me to do another one for you."
No, that's amazing. And again, that's something that it's sad that it's not common anymore, sadly, to hear someone be as involved and want to be that good brother, because again, in wrestling, it's supposed to be that brotherhood. It's supposed to be, that's sadly the bad side of wrestling at times, that it has become every man for themselves in a sense. And it shouldn't be that way. It sucks.
It shouldn't be that way because we all are trying to reach a certain like level in wrestling. Like we're all trying to get to the big leagues, or we're all trying to make a living. And in order for you to truly make that living, you need the support. Like for me, I had the support of my family, which I'm always going to be grateful for. And over time, I developed friendships and brotherhoods with wrestlers I met along the way. Like Kareem West, who's the runner for Spartan Championship Wrestling. Like he's been with me since I started, and like he supported me every day. Like the Dominican Destroyer Juan Vargas, even though he kind of hates me for eliminating him in a Rumble, but yeah, me and him love each other to death. And like Steven Stetson, Ryan Clancy, they're all like phenomenal friends. Raymond Shaw, like I could name, I literally will have a whole list that will literally go down to my feet if I hold it all the way up here of people that I love like family. And
that's
honestly,
awesome.
like that's the kind of thing I want in this industry. Like yes, wrestling is about reaching the end all, like making tons of money, but you also want to have a life in it as well. Like if you're all about money and you don't enjoy it, like you don't have any supporters or anything like that, you're gonna be miserable in the end. Like I hate to, like I'll compare it to this. I'll compare it to Elvis Presley. Like in the end, he wasn't happy. He was eating and doing drugs. Like, and in the end, he died. Like the business ate him up, and he basically was swallowed with grief, and in a flash, at like in his 40s, he died. If you want to be successful, you also need to be happy. That's what I believe.
Oh, definitely. I definitely agree with that. And I feel that you're definitely making an impact to help those that maybe, again, aren't having that day that they feel like they can be happy on their own,
Yeah.
So I definitely commend you on that. And again, thank you for what you're doing, and especially being a good help in this community as well. Because again, that's what I always say, and that's one of the things I always preach about in the podcast is, again, being better people, helping each other out. And that's a reason why I wanted to have the podcast, was to give a platform for, hey, want to speak about what you're doing, what you have coming up, come on. Mike, that's always what I've been about as well, is again, if we have something that we can help others with, why not?
Yeah, like honestly, like, and I'll say this right now to any fellow wrestlers or any fans that like want to, my DMs are always going to be open. If you guys are like struggling with something, like, or if you want somebody to vent to and you don't want it to reach your family or anything like that, even though I suggest you reach out to your family, you guys could always DM me on Instagram or on Facebook or anything like that, because I personally believe that you should always have somebody to talk to, always somebody to support. And people don't believe me when I say I will probably reply instantly. No, I'll answer in a heartbeat, no matter what I'm doing. Hell, even if I'm working out, even like if I'm like doing bench press and I see that somebody sent me a message, I put down the dumbbells, I look, I reply, then I go back to the workout. That's I try to be the real life superhero that little kids or at some adults who still love superheroes want to be. Like Spider-Man, responsibility. We have the power to help others, and it's up to us to use it. And it's our duty to help everybody possible.
Hey, there you go. And again, I love that sentiment of it. Again, having that and wanting to be a better part like that, that's always awesome. So I have to ask that, what was it for you that made you decide, you know what, hey, I can do this and try to help others that way? Because again, it's something to be able to have that heart to want to do this. It comes from something. So what was it that made you decide, you know what, hey, I want to also use this platform in that way?
You're cutting in
Oh,
and out
can you hear
there.
me?
I don't know if you could hear me or not, but you're cutting in and out.
Give me 1 second. So sorry about that. Okay. Can you hear me now? Give us 1 second, guys. So sorry. A little bit of technical issues. Sorry about that. Let's give us 1 second to get Gabe back in here. Let me know if you guys can hear me in the chat as well, because I could hear him fine, but it was breaking up. Okay, let's see. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Yeah, you were kind of breaking up a little bit. That last part I heard was you saying you couldn't hear me. I was like, uh-oh.
Yeah.
Sorry
But
about that.
what were you saying? I couldn't hear
Oh
you.
no, okay. So I was gonna ask, because of, again, that great, what you were saying was so great, but I want to ask, where was it that you got that, the mentality to be like that, to want to help others and use the platform that you have to be able to be like, you know what, hey, I have this, like, I want to be able to help others. Where
Yeah.
was it that came from?
So it came about when I thought of my own experience. I was too afraid to talk to anybody, and I was very not open with my bullying experience until like 2-3 years ago. And like honestly, like when I decided to be more open with it, it kind of opened the door for other people to like kind of say like, hey, like I'm going through what I went through, what you went through. Is there any advice like to how to deal with it? And I told them like immediately talk to somebody. Like, and not a lot. And at shows where when fans come up to me and say like, you helped me overcome my bullying, it really does warm my heart, and it also shows me that I'm doing something right. Because if I wasn't helping somebody in some way, shape, or form, I feel like I'm failing them and I'm failing myself to what I want to be. And not a lot of people are thinking that I'm legit, which is sad because there are people who claim that they're trying to help people, but in their own way, they're doing it for their own personal gain. I'm not like that. I'm not going to charge you $20 to talk to me. I'm not going to be like those types of people. Like, I'm not going to be those types of people that will say like, oh, I'm sorry, I can't help you. No, I'll try and help you out any way possible. I'm not a licensed therapist, but I'll listen and I'll talk to you about it, and like I'll tell you stories about my personal life, because in all honesty, you shouldn't feel alone in this world. There are thousands, and if not like millions, billions of people that are going through something like that, and it breaks me to see that. Like I talked about it in a post, there somebody committed suicide. It like no matter know them or not, it's I made a post saying if you feel like you're going through something, like talk to a therapist, like stuff like that. That's the kind of message that needs to be said often. And see it that like nowadays there's so many struggles in the world going on.
No, definitely so. So, Gabe, I don't want to take up too much more of your time because again, busy guy again.
Oh, you froze
Thank
me.
you so much for joining us. Oh, did I? Oh no. Hold on. He was starting to cut in and out again. There was 1 second, guys. So sorry about that. Weird thing is, it's saying my connection is fine, but it keeps lagging us out. The power of doing it live, guys. Oh man, gotta love it. But as he comes back in, please go follow Gabe as well on his Twitter right there at Gabe_Baez. Go follow him on his Instagram there, Gabe_M._Baez. Go check out all the shows he has coming up. Like we were talking about, he's going to be a part of Team NEW on August 6th as he's going to be taking on Team Warriors of Wrestling. That is going to be at Project Codename Summer Clash. Links for the tickets are in the description down below, as well as to follow Gabe on all of his social media. And again, go support. Like he said, his DMs are open to talk about if you're not feeling as happy or not having a good day. Go check him out. Again, he really means it. To connect, to be able to do this podcast, he was very on point with responding very quickly. And again, very kind-hearted and genuine person here. So I definitely can't wait to meet him on August 6th. And again, hopefully him and Walter can get into it. But here we go.
Oh, there we
can
go.
you hear me now?
Yeah.
Perfect. I was plugging
like,
away
making
your
funny
social media
faces the entire time, like while this is going. Walter's.
He's hacking into this. That's why.
He's hacking into it. He wants to make it all about him.
I can imagine after he sees this, he's going to want to do another episode. Because I've had him on as well for Project Week. So
I feel bad.
Possibly. But before I let you go, Gabe, because again, I don't want to take up too much more of your time, I have to ask you the final question I ask everyone that comes on. And that is, for the comic book warrior, Gabriel Baez, what is the end goal?
The end goal is to inspire as many people as possible to be a guiding light in a very dark world. And hopefully I could reach the big leagues like Ring of Honor, AEW, New Japan, WWE, and kind of be able to reach my message to a bigger goal or in a bigger stage. Because if I'm able to do that, it will honestly like be one of the greatest moments in my career.
Hey, there you go. And again, with the path you've been taking, I can definitely see it. Thank you again, Gabe, for coming on. But guys, like I was saying a little while ago, make sure you go follow him as well. Go follow his Twitter right there at Gabe_Baez. Go follow his Instagram right there, Gabe_M._Baez. Also, again, I was telling them when we were trying to reconnect that you do respond very fast because when we're connecting to plan the podcast out, you responded very quickly as well.
Yeah.
So, hey,
I'm like
he
the
means
Flash.
it.
I'm like the Flash with texting.
Before I let you go as well, usually that's where I end it with the end goal. But I have to ask again, you're the comic book warrior. Did you see the trailers and announcements this weekend from SDC?
Yes, I did see the trailers, and I am very I got emotional when I saw Wakanda Forever.
Yeah.
Because to me, to have a world without, to have a Black Panther movie without Chadwick Boseman, that's why I didn't even call it Black Panther. I called it Wakanda Forever. But to not have Chadwick Boseman in such an iconic role, a guy who's gone way too soon due to his battle with cancer, honestly, that it's going to be an emotional movie to watch because I know the cast and crew of that film, they must be devastated to have such a sweet and kind soul like Chadwick be lost so quickly to his battle with cancer. Honestly, to hopefully his legacy lives on to where people like me are 90 years old, because honestly he was such a phenomenal actor and a kind person as well.
No, definitely so. And again, I can't wait to finally meet you in person on August 6th. I definitely know we're going to be talking a lot more. Oh, definitely. We're definitely going to talk a lot more about comics and stuff then. And you're going to see oh, wait, okay, yeah. This locker room definitely they know a lot about their comics as well. So, but thank you again for coming on. For everyone watching, thank you as well. Again, like I said, go hit this man up, go follow. Great guy right here. And again, come see us August 6th. I'll be calling the action as it's going to be, again, Team Warriors of Wrestling versus Team NEW. Summer Clash. Escape from New York begins that night. You're going to want to be there. Ticket link is in the description down below. Also, the links to all of his social medias. Go check him out. And as well, guys, as always, don't forget to be wise, be genuine, be real, be better people, respect the craft, and we'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.